Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about our friends over at Streetside Brewery, located over on the east side of Cincinnati, the Columbia Tusculum neighborhood, the East End neighborhood. They sit right there, and it depends on what map you look at, okay? Either way, what you will find when you get there is an amazing local brewery that combines the best of the local neighborhood watering hole and the ultra modern brewery. You've been to a brewery. You probably live in Cincinnati, okay? And so you know what you're getting into until you go to Streetside, because what you will find there, unlike virtually anywhere else, is a wide variety of really good beers. I cannot stress that enough. They do not just focus on one type of beer. Not every single beer they brew tastes like hops, okay? They have dark beers. They have some amazing dark beers. They've got off-the-wall flavors. They do light Mexican lagers. They do a boring beer. And they do everything in between. Green tea IPA, baby, I've seen that on the menu, okay? They got good stuff going on over there. Go check them out, especially before a FC Cincinnati match on your way down for a Reds game, or especially for an FC Cincinnati away day. It is a really, really cool spot. You get to watch the game. They are an FC Cincinnati pub partner. And like I said, great beers, great atmosphere, good food. You could do a lot worse than checking out our great friends over at Streetside, who I thank from the bottom of my heart for sponsoring this episode. And on this episode, oh man, 4 wins in a row. Was it 5 wins in a row? No, it's 4 wins in a row. FC Cincinnati puts away the Chicago Fire. This team is looking dangerous and depleted. Interesting. We unpack that a little bit. What is this team doing? What is going on with this team? It's a really, really, really fun time to be a fan, because it feels like this team is hitting its stride, and yet it feels like there's still another gear, maybe 2, that they can go to. Awesome stuff. In part 2, it's Patreon questions as well as an away days update. And in part 3, we begin the week-long march towards Hell is Real home leg in Cincinnati. Put it all together, you got yourselves the postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I am joined by 2 gentlemen who are enjoying a 4-match win streak. I'm joined by the Chief. I'm joined by Grayson. Chief, peek behind the curtain for the 12. Little early morning recording sesh. How are we doing this morning right after the win?
Doing great. I was actually just sitting here contemplating and being curious. Is it a 4-match win streak or a 5-match win streak? Because I was pretty certain that I was assured by a certain, reputable credentialed media outlet that we were on a 5-match win streak last night. I thought it was like a Mandela effect, or like I was remembering things differently than other people. So can we clarify how many matches in a row we've won, please? Twitter ex-admin.
A lot of people might have seen this. I was very excited in the Bailey last night. Immediately tweeted 5 in a row. And I would just want people to know that the 5th win is truly the win that is the winning streak, and or Miles Robinson doing well with the U.S. men's national team. And by that, I mean the U.S. men's national team doing fine without Miles Robinson playing. And that really sort of represents the 5th win here.
Yeah, the fifth win is in our hearts. It was just I looked last night. The first thing I do after a win, like all very good functioning adults, is I immediately hop on to X, the everything app. It's all happening on X, and I want to see what other takes are out there, see what everybody's thinking. And I genuinely was questioning my own memory.
So it could be 5 if you think about it this way. They beat Montreal by 2 goals.
Oh, right.
So that's like 2
yeah.
wins.
That's 2 wins right there. It's 2 wins worth of goals.
Yeah.
I honest to God thought that there was another July match is really what happened. I knew we won the 3 in June. I sort of assumed there was a match that I couldn't quite place earlier in July, and then this game.
It was Kevin's memory of how happy he was after Bayern Munich beat Auckland City in TQL Stadium, and Brian
Yes.
and Kevin is just such a fan of Bayern Munich that he's just confused it with the FC.
I've internalized it for
the
sure.
extra 3 wins comes from Kevin's German heritage, noting that all 3 the German team won all of their matches that were present at TQL Stadium.
And even a good showing from the Austrian team for good measure. So.
Right, yeah. It's just a lot of winning football for Kevin
Germany.
Wallace.
Yeah, really greater Germany when you think
Right.
about it. It's
It's their living room, you know.
It's basically the same. Yeah. Austria, it's part of Germany, basically.
yeah. I think we all agree, especially the Austrians agree with that.
We're never beating the allegations.
Yeah, history is cyclical, so it'll come back around.
Oh my God!
You know, many people are asking: is Bayern Munich responsible for the successful run the FC is having right now? Because you know there were problems,
sure,
with around just a greater vibe around FC Cincinnati.
Right.
And Bayern went and they scored 10 goals at TQL Stadium and kind of proved it's possible to do things like that. You can score goals if you're playing soccer in Cincinnati. You can just beat bad teams if you're playing soccer in Cincinnati. Maybe we needed to see that happen and the team needed to see that happen to sort of like as proof of concept to validate that this is a acceptable way to play the game.
It's like an episode of a TV show that like focuses on a side character, and the side character goes into like kind of like various party situations and has like a very like exciting emotional evening, and then that kind of just carries over to the main storyline, kind of resets some of the vibes.
Yeah. I think it's not unlike a curse lifting or just a vibes change for the field, for the stands, for security staff. Like I think in general.
Oh yeah, big with the security staff.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what. Walking into TQL Stadium last night, little different setup. I don't know if anybody else saw that. The metal detectors way further out than normal. So certainly somebody was picking up some lessons.
I go in the first financial section, and that has not changed at
all.
I don't know what
you're talking
about. Yeah.
Well, the first financial entrance, gate. Yes. Little different setup. They certainly learned some lessons from the Club World Cup.
They didn't have you in like the peasant corral like they had at the Club World Cup, where you had to everything funneled into 2 lines, just sort of snaking into the field.
No, but I actually wonder if that would have worked better, because what they did is they moved the metal detectors were a good 50 feet further out, but then the lines were still the same. So the line started building up on the steps themselves, which is not.
Yeah, that feels safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very positive. It's a giant deck up there, but all of the people are crammed in that one little section. So
if we had to power rank, Kevin, who is most responsible for this current win streak that we're on right now? Yep. And we have to assign one of these people sort of the top spot.
Okay.
Are we saying, is it the Bayern Munich side?
Okay.
Giving the example of how to score lots of goals at TQL Stadium?
Yep.
Is it Thomas Muller specifically and a personal spite of him rejecting FC Cincinnati?
Okay.
Is it the pluckiness of the Mamelodi Sundowns coming into TQL Stadium and proving that you can play high energy, exciting soccer? Or is it Vice President J.D. Vance visiting our facility and gracing it with the leadership and showing them the example of what you can accomplish coming from kind of the greater Cincinnati area?
Well, it's not JD, because he's ducking the podcast.
Yeah.
That is true.
He is-
you
he
keep
is-
inviting him on, which is just one of these days he's going to say yes, and we're going to be in a pickle.
He has an open invitation.
Yes.
He has been invited many times. We've offered different topics,
Yep.
to try to catch his interest. And so far, I would say discussions are ongoing is how I would characterize it.
That's a great way to phrase it.
And so not him. I would like to throw in Ender Echenike because I think some of these guys are feeling some pressure
Ooh, yeah.
for their position on the field.
Yeah.
They know that this hot young
There was no great way to finish that statement right there.
where is he from again? Paraguayan?
Venezuelan?
Oh, Venezuelan.
Yeah,
Venezuelan.
okay.
Yeah, I knew that. This
Yeah,
this
he
young
plays in Caracas. Come on,
Yeah.
everybody knows that.
Yep. This young
Great
Venezuelan
time to pause that sentence.
is
Right
coming.
So many adjectives.
We're playing
But
Ender's
yeah.
game now, baby.
Yeah, I think it's I'd give it to the Sundowns first,
Yes.
just
Agreed.
because of how inspiring their story was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Bayern after that, Muller third, and that's where my list.
I will
And-
say there may be something to JD's vibe of technically maybe somewhere caring about the team, but not actually caring about the team. And there's something about like just taking the mental pressure off of this club that they can be, all for Cincy, but like just wear a t-shirt. That's pretty much all you got to do. And
what
once
I'm
you've
taking-
sort of relieved yourself, you feel better.
Well, I mean, you always feel better if you relieve yourself. But what I'm taking away from this conversation is that Kevin is giving the credit for this win streak to JD Vance right there.
Obviously.
Feels good. This feels good. This feels like 2023 all over again. I'm getting that vibe. Am I getting over myself here a little bit?
What is different this year versus 2023 is two things. One is it's not one player's team, it's two players' team. And the other is this team is surviving and, dare I say, thriving in the face of what should be an injury crisis, something that should sink most teams. This team is doing incredibly well. 2023, if you go back and look, unbelievably healthy team. Like that is probably the biggest takeaway from that Shield victory. And yeah, I see the parallels. I feel the vibe similarities, but I think that there's what I'm getting at is that there may be more to enjoy with this right now.
Well, it's what it actually is very similar to is 2024, because I believe, early July 2024, they were coming off of a pretty good win streak and having picked up results with the very depleted back line at that point in time. And they were in first place. Like weren't they in first place after beating Miami 6-1 on like July 6th?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
That feels right.
Right. And then obviously the wheels on that team fell off. So there's a lot of differences between last year's team and this year's team. One of the differences is
They have a striker this go around.
Right. Is they have a striker. Big difference. The other one is Evander feels like he is coming on.
Yes.
Which is different from the situation Lucho was in last year, where he was like very hot for a bit and then really cooled off. We have some injuries in the back line, but there's reason to believe that it's not going to stay that way this year like it did last year.
Yeah.
Because, players like Flores, Hadebi don't appear to have long-term injuries. Haglund is getting back on the field and training, so he's on track to do that. And, Miazga not hurt.
Yeah.
And
No.
Miles is going to be back for this game, and then for this next game, and then he's good. Hopefully he's just going to be here the rest of the year. So there are, I think the team is superficially in a very similar position to where it was in 2024, but there are a lot of reasons in the details to be much more optimistic about their chances to keep it up the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just the vibe difference between 2024 and now is that you think of the 2024 team where the injuries that they were persevering through, and it was like the Matt Miazga injury was devastating. It was a full season injury, and the team ultimately the ultimate undoing of the 2024 team in large part was threefold. It was, number one, it was Lucho checks out mentally and is also hurt for the majority of the back end of the 2024 season. Miazga is out for the full term, so they lose their defensive captain. And then their inability to get a striker on the roster to replace Aaron Bopenza after he crashes and burns out of the team. This year, Miazga's fully healthy. Yeah. They're going to get Miles Robinson back after this weekend. So they've survived that, and they're going to get that back. So there isn't a long-term injury to the back line. The only one that's kind of similar would be the Obina Nwobodo injury, which sucks, but it's not the same as losing the captain of your defense, the center back, Matt Miazga. And third, they've already got Kevin Denkey, and he's really good. And so that chase of a top line striker to offer an opportunity to go and get a guy that can score that second goal that wins a game like they won last night, they've already done that. They did their business on that early, and he's here. So to me, that's what makes it seem a lot more like 2023. Because in 2023, it wasn't just the Lucho Acosta show. You had Brandon Vasquez up top that was dangerous, was goal dangerous, and offered a threat defenses had to be aware of that allowed Lucho to thrive and do other things. And that's where this feels the most similar to that year, is that you can lock Evander down or try to. There's another huge weapon you've got to account for in the offense with this team. And I think really and truly, that's the biggest difference from 2024, is that they don't need one player to go and do everything. And I think that was what made this team successful in 23.
Yeah. And just to, I guess, make another point of comparison, after 21 games in 2024, the team was on 45 points. And now they're sitting on 42 through 21. But last year's team started off really, really strong.
Yeah.
And this team didn't. And this team, I think, feels like they are better now than they were early in the season. And so I think we are justified in thinking that will continue to be the case and improve. And so I think there, again, like it is much better. We should feel much better about the team after 21 games this year than 21 games last year.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I also think too, what helps, especially compared to last year, is there is not a gaping hole in the roster that the team needs to go out and fill, or a vastly underperforming group that needs to be replaced and supplemented. There are certainly moves to be made, and we can all come up with any number of ideal moves. But if this was the group going forward, I think you like your chances overall. The bench right now is very shallow, but I believe that is a temporary issue, as we just discussed. And, obviously some reinforcements in certain spots will be better than others. But yeah, I like the group. I like where we're at. This isn't exactly what we were saying a month ago, though. So, Chief, to sort of take your question from the beginning, but make it serious, what do you credit the quote unquote turnaround to? Is it a healthy Miazga? Is it nebulous gel being applied to the team? Is it, I don't know. Is it Evander sort of assuming a leadership role? He certainly appears to have changed the way he plays since, the one bad week we saw. What do you see as like the biggest reason for this turnaround?
I think a couple of things. I think the biggest reason for this turnaround is they have settled finally on a formation of play, which I think this team during the start of this year and when the results were a little more inconsistent, they were experimenting with a lot of different ways to play and deploy their lineup. Now, since the bad week, as we'll, refer to it, they've settled into this 2-striker setup with Kevin Denkey up next to Kai Kamara.
Yeah.
And I think it's incredibly effective at allowing Kevin to be the star and having Kai be in the position of doing all the dirty work, making all the off-ball runs, doing the hold-up play, and being that pair with Denkey that unlocks him more fully. And I think the other things they've done have been a little more subtle. Since the start of the year, they have changed or they have prioritized moving the defensive midfielder into a more advanced position, whether that's been Wobodo or Anunga. That player in that position has been asked to get more forward and be more progressive, which has helped a little bit in the buildup.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, though, is that Evander has just gotten more active. I think that he has gotten more, he's less hesitant on the ball now, which is a big difference. He is a little more aggressive with the ball, and he's looking to attack when he has possession versus earlier in the year, he was a lot more comfortable cycling the ball back and playing it safe with possession. So to me, those are the real big things. There's I don't think any one smoking gun. The closest thing to a smoking gun for me is the formation change, the addition of Kai Kamara and him cementing himself into the lineup as the second striker. But I think equally as important is the fact that Evander has just decided, I'm not going to be the guy going at 80%. I'm going to be going at 100% for more of the game.
Yeah. I don't know, Grayson, do you see it any different? Do you?
No, I was going to say the formation and the addition of Kai Kamara. I think that Kai's ability to receive the ball with his back to goal, to be an outlet for the midfield to advance on a pass. I mean, we saw it this game a few times. I think especially leading up to the first goal.
Yeah.
Pavel finds him. He makes a nice touch to keep the ball away from the defender, passes to Orellano, who plays it across the field to Evander. And so I think having a second striker who can provide that it's maybe it's simple, but it's really, I think, changed this team's ability to hold the ball and then to advance the ball and to create scoring opportunities. And the other one is keeping Luka on the left. I mean, it's been the best he's looked, and his ability to dribble the ball up out wide on the left is continually dangerous.
Yeah.
And he could play that, cross field ball to Evander with his left foot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Orellano is sort of finding his spot literally on the field in this team has really helped drop everything else into place. Because once you move him to the left from the right, it makes a lot more sense. You pull him out of the attack, so you give another offensive player a spot up top there. I think that has been key. I also think, too, underrated and something I would love to see continue, even as the various pieces on the back line get healthy, Lucas Angle on the back line. is an interesting wrinkle for this team, because he made a couple of moves in this game. He made a couple of moves last game as well, where he finds space and goes forward. And his ability to be able to dribble the ball up the field and sort of make I'll make this comparison, a Yerson Mosquera-esque run into the attack from the center back position, I think throws defenses off. They just do not know how to manage, how to deal with something like that, because all of a sudden there's a player now that you were never accounting for. He helps overload numbers, especially on that left side with Orellano out wide. And he's fast and agile. He plays the defense great, but he has that option in him. I would not hate him taking that role permanently and slotting in Miles Robinson on the right with Miazga in the middle. I don't know, Chief, am I crazy for this idea?
No, I don't think you're crazy. And it was kind of a thought I had last night as I was talking with some people during the game. And kind of the other big change, if you want to say a big change, like there's been some philosophical changes with this team. It's still Noonan ball to a large extent. He's not going to change his stripes too much as to who he is. But to the point about Engel, it's subtle, but a lot of the changes this team has made in their, I'll say, patterns of play and the way they're lined up, it has been an understanding or perhaps an acknowledgement this team was a little too defensive focused at the start of this year. And this team is always going to be a team where Pat is going to, prioritize defense, prioritizing strong defensive play, maintaining your defensive shape. But they've traded defense for offense in a few key areas of this team. I think top of which was that change for Lucas Engel. Because the easiest thing this team could have done during this Miles Robinson run would be to just put Teenage Hadebe and Gilberto Flores out there and run 3 center backs alongside Matt Miazga. And they're not doing that. You put Engel on the field. Engel is absolutely sacrificing defensive ability for more offensive ability, more ability to possess the ball, and the ability to do different things with him moving forward. Pushing Obi or Anunga further upfield. You're trading defense for offense by doing that. So I do think that that's been a big part of this run, is just not being so damned conservative with who you're putting out on the field and being more willing to put players on the field that are better with the ball at their feet and better at advancing the ball and progressing the ball, who might not be as stout defensively as people they could be putting out there. Like it is somewhat shocking that we don't talk about this a lot, but it's somewhat shocking that Teenage Hadebe has lost his place on this team. Because this was a guy going into the season where we had him penciled in as a locked-on starter on the back line. And now he barely sees the field, even to see games off. And when Miles Robinson comes back, he's going to pop further down the depth chart, I think. And when Hagelin comes back, I don't know that if Hagelin comes back to where he was pre-injury, I don't know that he's ahead of Hagelin on the depth chart right now. So I think that has been, a thing that Pat Noonan has done effectively, is recognize that this team just needed a bit of a kick in the pants from the back and to give more options out on the field for him.
Noonan did give Teenage a little bit of cover in the post-game press conference by saying, kind of implying or saying that, he was dealing with an injury. And I think his words were, maybe could have started or probably could have started, but they were being, cautious with him. But I'll that said, I think Engel for me is the starter in that position over Teenage.
Yeah.
If Engel didn't have the trust and Teenage was that close, quote unquote, if we sort of take Pat at his word, you would start Teenage.
Well, I mean, Teenage probably would have started this match for Alvis Powell, I would imagine, would be the...
Yeah, true. You could have shifted things around a little bit. Yeah.
But that would have robbed us of the Alvis Powell experience, which we got.
Yeah, people are going to remember this as the Alvis Powell game.
Like, we got a full-on dose of the Alvis Powell experience last night. And I mean that in the best possible way, man. You buy a ticket to the Alvis Powell experience, you're getting the full seat, but you're only using the edge, baby.
I love Alvis Powell. And the day he scores and Kai Kamara scores, like, a lot of sins of the past will have been absolved for FC Cincinnati.
Just start the Bailey just immediately goes into old man Neil Young.
Man, God forbid they both score against Columbus. I might not survive, guys. I might have a heart attack right then and there, and that'll be it.
So I guess we should talk about this game. We've been sort of dancing around it a little bit, but it was fun. It was a good time.
It is funny going back. I was looking at the stats for the game. This is the first time in a long time. It really feels like the stats don't even begin to match the eye test of this game. Like, from start to finish, I was in the Bailey last night, which probably plays a large role in how I sort of view this game literally and figuratively. The vibes were off the charts. Like, the Bailey was feeling it. The crowd was feeling it. The team was feeling it. Nothing ever felt in doubt or in danger. And then I go and look at the possession stats after the game. Did not match what I felt like was going on. It really felt like they only had 2 real scoring opportunities from Chicago, and yet they outshot us, which, again, like, I would have lost so much money betting against that after the game as to who had more shots. I thought this was a really fun game. And yeah, when the lineup first came out, I was a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. So I'll read the lineup here as it came out. So we had Roman Celentano in goal. It was Luca Orellano as the left wing back, Lucas Angle as the left center back, Matt Miazga in the middle, Alvis Powell as the right center back, DeAndre Yedlin as the right wing back, Brian Anunga and Buka as your holding midfielders, Evander just ahead of them, and Kai Kamara and Kevin Denkey up top. You see that back line, you get a little nervous, but man, was it fun to watch. And other than their goal, which was just honestly a comedy of errors across the entire defense, it held up well. I don't know. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm viewing that wrong, but
it held up well. It was, it got very bend but don't breaky, which is, again, another sign of like Noonan ball.
Yeah.
That you have the ability to absorb pressure and prevent the big chance. Most of the big chances Chicago had in this match, there were, there's the goal, obviously. There was most of their success came from trying to play long balls over the top.
Yeah.
Or long through balls through the defense. Once they got down into the final third, if they had to break down the FC Cincinnati defense, they were just, it was not happening. They were not gonna. There was very little opportunity to play through the defense once FCC got into their defensive shape. And so what you saw a lot of those shots that they took were from distance, where they're making it through to Roman, but they're not really troubling Roman at all. And the long balls are a problem.
Yeah.
For this team. I think it's especially a problem because Miazga has lost a step in terms of getting back and tracking back on runs. But that's also something that, that'll be something Miles Robinson can help with, because Miles Robinson is fast as hell. And he has incredible recovery speed. And last night, it was good they had Alvis Powell out there, because Powell had, great track back speed on that. Mm-hmm. But I think that the defensive deployment was mostly effective. And, Chicago has weapons. And I thought they kept Hugo Kuipers specifically in check for the majority of the game. I think he had one really good chance. What'd you say?
He had one he should have scored.
Yeah, the 1v1 with Roman, where Roman played that perfectly. He had one
great
good
job
chance.
by Roman there.
He had one good chance this game. And so if you can keep the other team's best DP striker or best DP goal scorer off the score sheet, that's winning in this league.
Yeah. Bamba as well was held in check all night, which was, great to see. Somebody who has been tearing up MLS since his arrival. So let's talk about that first goal, and similarly the called off goal, because man, this is we saw it in June a little bit, and we're seeing it again now. This appears to be everything we ever wanted, which is Evander and Kamara and Denkey running at full speed at this defense, or at defenses, and getting scoring opportunities. The offside goal, man, Denkey tries to hold it up. He's very clearly off, but it's Kamara starting the play, getting the ball to Evander. Evander just unlocking the defense with a perfect pass. If Denkey's a half a foot further back, as he tried to, this is an amazing goal. I wish it didn't take us half the season to get to this point, but I'm glad we're at this point. You would have thought we could have figured this out a little earlier, but I'll take it. And then on the actual goal, though he was pretty quiet on the night, Orellano crossing the ball from that left side, as you mentioned, Grayson, to Evander, and then Evander just doing Evander things. Does XG matter when you have Evander on your team? Should we just scrap any and all XG related stats when talking about FC Cincinnati?
I know he had a lot of space to dribble, up toward the box, but even so,
right?
How does he see that shot with that angle and where the ball ends up? Because it's like three guys in the box. He's got to go across the entire mouth of the goal. The goalie even kind of gets a hand on it, but
yeah,
it's as far as I can tell, just an unsavable shot.
I don't
side
think
netting from that netting from that spot right there.
Yeah,
that's criminal. That's illegal in several municipalities. What he did right there.
It is funny because the defenders are all yelling at each other for why didn't anybody get more pressure on him? Which is true, and you probably just need to have somebody with a hand on Evander the entire game and just sacrifice one of your
Gutierrez
players.
Should have been coming in faster.
For sure. And maybe Bamba could have tracked him the
He's
whole
Steph
time.
Curry is who he is. And we said that earlier in the year a little bit, that this is a team that, it has sharpshooters from outside, but he's a dude where you got to pick him up at the logo, because he at any point could decide, you know what, I feel good about this one and I'm just going to pull up and shoot. It's just a reality.
It's great to if you pause it right as he's taking the shot, you've got Buka coming in at the top of the box, Gevlin making the overlapping run on the right side, Kamara crashing the box, Denkey getting out wide, offensive movement. It's exciting to see. It's not a whole bunch of guys standing around at the top of the box. There's some dynamism happening here. And
right. Yedlin peels off a guy with his run. That's not part of it.
Yeah. And Denkey going out wide helps keep the central center back sort of frozen in place rather than collapsing on Evander. It's great. And then, the shot is insane. The way that it curves and bends, the way that it I don't know. If you could have the soccer ball be a drone and pilot the ball from that shot, it took the exact trajectory you would do to go to sort of comically around the goalkeeper into the goal. It had to have been what, a 0.2 XG shot, and Yeah, it felt inevitable.
It's a 1 for Evander, babe.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know about it right there.
It was a 0.02 XG chance.
I mean, it's when you look at where he shoots from, like he does have a wide open window at goal just because of the way that the defensive shape has been. And the fact that, like you said, Yedlin is pulling a person down towards the end line right there. He has the keeper leaning the wrong way because the keeper is shifting over, anticipating that no sane human being would try a shot there, that more likely he's going to try and take it down to the end line, either getting it to Yedlin or dribbling it down for a cutback where he can close the angle off. So he's got the keeper going the wrong way. But like, if you can process all of that with the ball at your feet, running at full speed, you're just a mutant. You're not a real person. Like lab created monstrosity on a night where Dr. Frankenstein pulled the sword.
That was pretty great. Wait, who was the anthem singer? Had a good name too.
DC
right?
Washington. It was an all name night in TQL Stadium.
DC Washington. You think that's their birth name, or is that a pen name?
That man belted the anthem out and did it with the quickness. They need to get this guy back for every single game.
Yeah, it was actually music nerds can chime in and correct me, but I want to say the national anthem is supposed to be a sort of faster, peppier, like I think it's based on like a pub song. It's not this long drawn out thing. It's if you hear it as it's written, it's supposed to be pretty quick. So yeah, it was nice to hear that a little bit. Not unlike the FC Cincinnati attack, huh? How about that?
Just you love to see it either way.
Yeah.
It was Evander has the green light whenever at this point. It's always on.
Yeah.
You know the one thing that would have made the game perfect would be if Pavel hits that shot at the end of the first half.
Oh, the volley right there.
The volley where he gets it with his chest and just smacks it.
It was so close too. That was great. Orellano also had another like midfield bomb that was not nearly as close as he normally has been, but
I love that he was feeling it enough to take it in that moment.
Yes,
that's
right. What
I
I
see
want.
the confidence.
Yeah,
I don't even think it shows up on the shot charts. I don't even think they gave him a credit. Oh no, it does. I see it there. You want to know what's funny? Using the XG chart,
it's exactly the same XG as Evander's.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, math.
Again, I'm really dubious about XG at the very least when it comes to FC Cincinnati offensive, tracking and stats. I think if you look at our XG differential, we look horrible, but I do think a big part of that is just the offense isn't at level with the what the defense is giving up, which is a sort of normal amount of XG. The second goal as well, though, the second goal comes in the second half. It is almost identical to the offside goal. It starts off with Evander out wide, passes the ball to Kamara, who immediately pings it back to Evander, and all of a sudden, it's 3-on-3 or 2-on-2, depending on how you want to look at it. Evander, though, the pass,
one of the best passes I've seen in a really long time. Just
you see,
when they talk about a perfectly weighted ball,
yes,
this is the platonic ideal of which they speak. Just the exact amount of pace and bend to where he couldn't have walked it out there and played. Like if time would have stopped and he would have picked the ball up and walked while time was frozen and placed the ball in the exact right spot for Denkey to score, he couldn't have done that any better with that superpower.
Right.
And not only that, but to not bring the keeper into play.
Right.
Like you've got a window of about maybe 2.5 feet
he's got
to do that.
He's got to curl it around two defenders all while everybody's sprinting at full speed. And yeah, exactly. Not play it so close to the keeper. You see this pass attempted often, and it never comes off. It is always collected by the keeper, or leads to like a really awkward shot if it does get through. This gets all the way through. Denkey is able to just sort of square up the ball, and it is a harder shot than it looks. They called it a tap in on the broadcast. I don't know that I agree with that.
No.
But once he's got it where he needs it, it looks and feels super easy. It's harder than that, but man.
No, it's way harder than that, because if you watch the replay on this, where this is incredibly impressive for Denkey for me is a lot of strikers will either overrun this or they will get the ball tied up at their feet, because Denkey had to slow his run to receive the ball, because he was running at just if he would have maintained his speed throughout the run, he would have gone too far.
Right.
So he slows his run up just a little bit at the end there.
Yep.
But keeps his feet in the right position to receive the ball and take a touch for the strike. That's a play where a lot of people on this FC Cincinnati team try that, and their first touch gets away from them and it goes aside from goal, or they miss the target from there. Not because, oh my God, how could you miss a shot that close? It's like, well, because I'm trying to slow down and also get a foot out to direct this ball into goal. And that's really hard to do two things at the same time like that.
Yeah. It's so good. And I want to see more of it. I just want to see more and more and more. And Kai Kamar is a big part of this play. Helped set this up, is a part of the sort of attacking run, gives another option for the defense to worry about, and for another option for Evander to play if he doesn't feel like that pass is on. And God, to have all three of those guys running at your defense at full speed is terrifying. like Kai hasn't scored yet, but I feel like it's gonna be tough to find a better attacking trio in the league at this moment. As much as it pains me that that's not Dado out there, I am very happy with how this is working itself out, and it's something that we did not see earlier this year. I just want to emphasize that like there were different combinations of players up there, or they just weren't, on the same page or understanding each other. Now they're starting to get into a rhythm, and we are seeing repeatable patterns of play, not unlike the Cincinnati play that we saw a couple of years ago. We're starting to see something a little bit, repeatable here. And that is what should give you confidence going forward the rest of this year.
This pass is so good. This is like watching. it's. I'm repeating it as you were talking.
Yeah,
it's like watching like the putt JJ Spawn made to win the U.S. Open. It's like he's reading a green right here, and he taps it, and it's like, oh, this one's going in. This one's for birdie right here.
Yes, felt good coming off the putter.
It made just sweet contact right there. It was good also that they score this goal. And there were multiple opportunities they had in the first half. And you definitely felt, just with the way Chicago plays, that you needed that second goal. That I think it was going to be very difficult for this team to protect a 1-goal lead. They got this goal quickly out of the first half. And that was, I thought, it ended up being very necessary, as it turns out. But they had in the first half long stretches of possession that they had generated into opportunities, but they weren't able to get that second. The first goal comes, but they had missed opportunities earlier. They had other opportunities later after that goal. They'd held the ball for a ton of that first half. And a lot of it was the typical horseshoe of doom passing, where it was a lot of passing around the back line. And I think the passing charts that MLS Analytics on Blue Sky have reflect a lot of that passing around the back, but a lot of that was recycled back from, we had an attacking opportunity, the ball is, the shot is blocked or the pass doesn't come off, but we still retain and recycle possession. So it was good that they got that second goal because it felt like they had wasted a few opportunities in the first half.
Yep.
And coming out of halftime, it just felt important to keep the momentum going and keep the foot on the gas. It also felt important to me to get Kevin Denkey back on the score sheet again, because it had been a couple matches since he had scored. And, you know, he hadn't been needed because Evander's been playing so well. But it was good, I think, to get him back in the scoring column. I think that's good for the team, that he and Evander are both involved in this offense, and it's not one or the other.
Yeah. And MLS PR put out a little thing saying Evander and Denkey, the sixth pair in MLS history to score 12 goals each by the 21st match, which is so arbitrary. I appreciate them inventing neat little things to let us get excited about. But
everything is content.
With the number of teams that are in this league and how long it's been around, that is a good sign that we're seeing something that is seemingly rarely produced.
There's no good time to talk about this either, but I mean, no bad time for that matter. I know Grayson has really been tough on Brian and Nunga online, and only Grayson among this podcast trio. I thought he had a hell of a game. I thought that a lot of the shortcomings that, you know, we've complained about, or Grayson, I don't know to say we, it's just going to be Grayson and Grayson alone. I can't emphasize this enough. Didn't see a lot of those shortcomings. Like, he was moving in advanced positions. He passed well. He had, dare I say, almost an Obi-like quality of being able to break up plays and be annoying on the backs of Chicago attackers. I thought this was Anunga's far and away his best game for FC Cincinnati. And I thought he was more than just a replacement. I thought he was an addition on the field last night.
Yeah, Grayson, I'm curious, like,
defend your bad takes, Grayson.
Well, we've seen, yeah, right, of course, and only you,
and only your bad takes.
We've seen him now for a couple of games, and given the news with Obi, how are we feeling if he is the starting sort of defensive midfielder for this FC Cincinnati team in the playoffs?
I thought he was good last night, and I think he's been pretty good in recent games. I saw, you know, Damon in the post game press conference called out that Anunga went the full 90, which is good to see, I think. But I don't know. I would like to see if Kubo gets healthy. I'd still like to see Kubo get some starts in the midfield, because I think it raises our ceiling a bit more if Kubo's playing well, not if we get, you know, early season Kubo. And, you know, I just think generally I would like to see a midfield signing or two. Like, I think we lean too hard on Pavel.
Yes, very much.
I think we ask him to do probably too much. I mean, he you know, does a lot, and I'm glad that he can shoulder that burden. But I worry about fatigue, you know, late in the season, and then I also worry about his health, and I worry about, you know, the inability to bring in somebody fresh, late in the game to spell him. But I don't know where that comes from. I know that there have been links to forwards. I haven't seen anything in the midfield, but even before Obi went down, I thought we needed another midfielder, and I think that is only more so.
Yeah. And we can talk about this towards the end of this, but given the recent addition of Momba Dem, you do wonder where the international spots may be coming from as well. That has gotten a little trickier. So yeah. Now, on Chicago's goal, we should probably touch on it. It's just sort of chaos on the back line. It's a really sloppy play from Chicago, but they find a hole in the FC Cincinnati back line. There's Roman's, all the way to the right, guarding the near post. Miazga and Angle appear to be covering the same player, and Angle just knocks him down, but it left a giant hole on the right, or on FC Cincinnati's left side, for, gosh, what's that guy's name? He had a great name. What's his name?
Zinkernagel?
Zinkernagel, yes, great name, fun to say out loud.
That
Zinkernagel
feels
just
made. That guy, that's made up. That's not real. That's not his real name.
He's from Denmark. All right, I had to double check that.
I thought he was a West Virginia basketball player.
Man, is that a Pitsnoggle reference?
It is a Pitsnoggle
Whatever
reference.
happened to that guy? That dude was the most West Virginia human being ever born. Was it Kevin Pitsnoggle?
It was Kevin Pitsnoggle.
I would love to know what he's doing right now. I hope he is like, I hope that man never has to buy a drink in Morgantown for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he played in the CBA and the D League.
Nice.
Damn. What a
He lives in Martinsburg, West Virginia, with his wife and their combined 8 kids.
that absolutely tracks.
Wow.
Following Pitsnoggle's basketball career, he became a car dealer in his hometown. Worked as a special education teacher, high school basketball coach, and most recently as an assistant principal.
Wow, look at him go.
Can you imagine that, like, now there are kids that are like, oh, I gotta go talk to Mr. Pitsnoggle because I got detention for showing up late. I was vaping in the bathroom and Mr. Pitsnoggle wants to talk to me.
As of July 2024, he wasn't assistant principal. He was principal of Martinsburg North Middle School.
Principal Pitsnoggle.
Well, you know what happens next, right? Superintendent, and then he runs for Congress.
Dude, Pitsnoggle for Congress. I might drive to West Virginia and volunteer on that campaign.
So good. I'm glad we found it.
I delivered for West Virginians on the courts for years. Now I want to deliver for them in Washington. As a dedicated educator, Kevin Pitsnoggle is committed to the future of our great state.
See, he's always been for West Virginia, all right? He's always represented West Virginia when you think about
Always saying that.
This does remind me, last weekend, I don't know why it popped into my head. I was like, what's Marshall Henderson up to? Do you remember the hated Ole Miss player who was like always flipping off the crowd and talking smack? Funny little career as well. He's now an assistant coach at Ole Miss.
Yeah, every so often somebody rediscovers Jason Williams, white chocolate, that played for Marshall back in the day.
Yes.
And that his highlights all of a sudden appear on my timeline. And I'm like, the youth are learning. Zwickernagel.
He scores the goal.
Knuckle.
He scores the goal here. And
Zwick or Knuckle sounds like a Dutch game. Like you have to pick Zwick or Knuckle at the start of it.
Yep.
Like every round it's Zwick or Knuckle. You don't know what Zwick or Knuckle is. You just pick. Is it Zwick or Knuckle?
It's like a bluffing game where if you mess it up, you have to drink some horrific Danish alcohol.
It looks like motor oil while everyone chants Zwick or Knuckle. Zwick or
If you get like a double Zwick, you gotta you drink like half a bottle of Aquavit.
Yeah, right. You gotta finish your glass.
And then the Zwickernagel drink comes with like a raw fish that's been dumped in it for some reason.
Yeah, there's
like a very small raw fish in the drink.
There's a small herring, and you eat it with pumpernickel, actually, too, just to keep adding consonants to this.
Pumpernickel, Zinkernagel.
A classic lunchtime pairing.
Right. They call
See,
it
soccer brings cultures together.
Zink and pump. I don't think you can do that at work, actually.
No, that's the what is it, Danish? That's the Danish word for a one-night stand.
That's it. And there is a raw or pickled fish involved as well.
How come Chicago's Dane is Zinkernagel and we get Engel?
I think we lucked out, honestly. Can you imagine having to say that every time we do this damn podcast? You imagine the version of the Chicago Fire podcast that are seriously talking about how exciting Zwickerknockel is.
Well, speaking of Ardane, long story short, I'm giving him the blame for this one. One, for knocking down Kuipers, which I think distracts Roman, as dumb as that sounds. But also, I think Miazga was supposed to pick up Kuipers and Ango was supposed to pick up Zwickerknockel. So there you go. That's who I'm assigning the blame to.
A Zwickerknockel debacle, if you will.
Zwickerknockel debacle. That might be that. I gotta fit that into the title somehow of this podcast.
Jesus. Well, we call it the MLS clean sheet for a reason, because this was Can we also talk about a guy that I've decided I hate now? I hate Andrew Gutman. This guy was a bum when he played for us.
He always does something against us.
He always does something against us. This guy looks like he should be in one of the big five in Europe, just based on how he plays against FC Cincinnati. And he's got this giant, stupid looking bald head. And I'm just bothered by him now. I am bothered by Andrew Gutman.
He doesn't even, in my view, like, he has no claim to having been aggrieved or like cast aside.
Yes.
Because they wanted to keep him.
Yes.
Gerard Nijkamp didn't know how the MLS offseason roster mechanisms worked.
Correct. The re-entry draft got him, right? Something like that. Yeah,
he like. So they traded him because he was gonna get picked in the re-entry draft.
That's what it was. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it was. Come on, like it was.
That's what he was with
incompetence.
He was with Celtic, and he was on loan. He was going to come on a free because his contract with Celtic was expiring. Yeah. And so there was no way to just sign him when his contract expired. He would have to go through the re-entry draft to come back to MLS.
I think we needed to work out a deal with Celtic before the re-entry draft is what it was. He was still under contract, and I think we needed to get something worked out with them. We didn't do it ahead of the re-entry draft, so traded him rather than lose him for. I think we traded him. We got a little bit more in GAM than we would have gotten if
Atlanta, right? If I remember correctly,
Atlanta or New York,
and then he went on loan from Atlanta to New York.
That's what it was. Yeah, he had a funny history of like being on teams and never playing for them. Like, he was picked up by Chicago in the MLS draft, but played for Celtic. And then at Celtic went on loan to Charleston. So he never played for Celtic. And then, ended up at FC Cincinnati on loan from Celtic, and then was signed by Atlanta, but was on loan to New York. Very weird. It's very funny, though, that he eventually ended up back in Chicago, because that is the place that he tried really hard to not play for early in his career.
Okay, so he was selected in re-entry, but Atlanta, it was a little bit different than I described. Atlanta traded us for the first pick in the re-entry draft. So it wasn't a straight up trade for him. We traded Atlanta the pick so they could take him.
That's it. They could jump the line. Okay.
Right, because I think had we traded him, somebody else could have taken him from Atlanta.
That makes sense.
In re-entry.
Yeah, because he was still going to go.
Right, he still would have been re-entry eligible, so they had to do it that way.
Yeah, which is
I would like to have been in the room when Gerard Nijkamp like slowly finds out about all of this stuff happening, and then somebody explains to him like what he has to then do.
It's like he gets all mad. He's like, "This is like playing Zickernagel back home."
That's true. And sure, it did jump to the Netherlands.
It did, yeah. In fact, there's a dispute, I believe, over who invented it, whether it's originally a Danish game or a heritage Dutch game.
Oh God. The game ends with Chicago throwing everything at FC Cincinnati bending and not breaking. What is this the equivalent of an NFL team going into prevent defense? Is that what is happening at the end of these games?
It's the Matt Doyle tactics free zone. This is, I do have a question about that. Like, to your point, Kevin, why does it feel like when we're leading games, we hold on for dear life, and when we're losing games, we can't get the ball?
Right.
Like, have we ever had one of those? There are 7 minutes of added time, and we're just like knocking on the door and beating the brakes off a team, but can't score. It's never like that. It's like we're chasing the ball to the corner and unable to even mount a single attack when we have these situations.
I don't get what is happening there. Or like, we can't even sustain some sort of offensive pressure to sort of like maintain some sort of balance in the game. And I understand on some level, you don't want to stretch the attack out so that you get beat in behind, because we saw Chicago having, as you mentioned, Chief, some success with that earlier in the match. I get that fundamentally. But I also don't know why like Dotto and Denkey, or later Baird, couldn't try to attack or push some sort of movement up. And maybe you don't throw all the midfielders up with them, but you send like 3 guys up to try to see what you can do. I don't know, because at the same time, like when Chicago's throwing everything out, they should be stretched. There should be a counterattacking opportunity somewhere, and then just sit on the ball. I don't know. It feels weird. It's maybe a dumb complaint because we win this game and we win a lot of games that look like this, but I just want the team to look and feel more in control at the end of games.
Yeah, my only real complaint about the game is that after we scored the first goal, I don't think we recorded another shot for like 25 minutes. Yeah, and that seems pretty characteristic of how they play. Like,
yeah,
they're like, oh, we got our lead.
Sit back, we got this. Yeah, but a good win nonetheless. FC Cincinnati goes to the top of the table, and that is true in every permutation except Miami has 4 matches in hand, which is wild. And I'll point out Seattle and LA. Well, I guess I should say LA is as far behind. Seattle isn't, though. Why is this? Is this CCL related? Is that why these two teams are further behind?
And also Club World Cup.
Well, yeah, but Seattle was also in the Club World Cup, and they're only they play later tonight, and they'll be 1 game behind. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with how these shook out. But anyway,
Miami definitely went further. So like Miami lost at least one or two other matches because, well, I mean they would have lost 2 because last week was they lost a midweek match week because there was a Wednesday, Saturday that they were in the Club World Cup after they advanced.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
So, well, if Miami were to win all 4 of their matches in hand, they would take the Supporters' Shield lead. Otherwise, nobody else can catch us or is, at the same number of matches played, and points are not as much as us. San Diego, had they won, would have tied us, but they lost, which is exciting. And even Vancouver, if they win their game in hand, would only be a point behind FC Cincinnati. So exciting spot to be, top of the table, and on a 4-game, not 5-game, but depending on how you look at it, a 5-game winning streak. Feels good. Vibes are good, right? Do we feel good? Do we feel like we're in a good spot right now?
Feeling good. There's a couple issues that I think we'll touch on in part 2 that I think to watch out for over the next couple of weeks. But you can't be mad about you can never be mad about beating a team that was, I think at the time of the kickoff, was in playoff position in the Eastern Conference. You beat a playoff team. You can never be mad about that, I don't think. And you held serve at home, which again, never be mad about that, especially as good as this team's road form has been.
Yeah. They said this on the broadcast, which is very funny, more of a scheduling quirk than anything else. But if we also throw in that one bad week, it had been 25 days since FC Cincinnati fans had saw an FC Cincinnati win at home. So good to get that one back. So
yeah.
So there we go. All right. Is there anything else from this match before we move on over to part 2?
Nope.
Let's do it. let's head on over to part 2, and we got some things to address. Okay. All right, we are back, and in part 2, we do have some Patreon questions to get to, but before we do that, Chief, the postcast is going on the road in 2 weeks. It's coming up. It's sneaking up.
2 weeks. We'll be hitting the road again.
Yes.
For another away days trip. I do pledge we will get the video out sooner than the last one. That is a chief guarantee.
You gave yourself a very low bar to clear. I think if you get it out true. 8 months later, you will have done very well.
So we're heading out to Salt Lake City, Real Salt Lake, FC Cincinnati. The road game that's going to be happening, I think, in 2 weeks, like you said, July 19th, out in Salt Lake City, Utah. Kevin, how are we feeling about this?
I am excited for a couple of reasons. One, I've never been to Salt Lake City. Excited to check that out. I should say, outside of like a layover for flying somewhere else. So that'll be fun. I'm also excited, and we'll get to see him play a little bit later tonight, to see Diego Luna in person, which will be fun because he may very well not be in the league sometime shortly after that match. He's already got some interest from some Mexican teams, some European interest as well. He's very important to Real Salt Lake, but I could easily see him not finishing the year in Salt Lake. So hopefully they don't sell him in the 2 weeks before this match and we get to see him in person. I think that'll be fun. And I'm excited for what I hope we get to do here. Which is I want to put this out to people, and Chief, feel free to clear up how I may be asking for this. I would like people to use the Discord channel, Ideas and Suggestions channel, to give us a series of sort of challenges or things that they would like to see us do or accomplish. And if we can get a big old list of these, we can like put them in a hat and draw them, and we may be, sort of forced to accomplish something. Maybe find an independent coffee shop somewhere in Salt Lake City, which feels like it should be kind of difficult, or, attend some sort of meeting or session, or go see a thing, or go accomplish something, or find a Real Salt Lake jersey in the wild. Something. I'll let people with more creative imaginations than me come up with this. But Chief, how do we feel about the user generated itinerary?
I love the user generated itinerary. I think we were kicking this idea around. I would love nothing more than to put all these suggestions, like you said, in a hat or a box or something, and we just draw them out live on camera and figure out how our trip is going to go. So get creative. I mean, obviously we're not going to do anything illegal. Number Correct. One, you know what we do for a living. That's not going to go over well. We're not going to convert to Mormonism. It's not in the cards for me. I've got one wife I love enough. And otherwise, I think we're open to just about anything. Grayson, I can't help but notice that we will be in close proximity to the former home of the Sundance Film Festival, Park City, that you know and love so much. I believe you recommended a burger joint there once to us.
Yeah, I mean, we'll check it out. We like to do our own research.
Yeah. We are the podcast that encourages everyone to do their own research. So we're going to do that. So I would love as many suggestions about things, challenges, tasks, places to visit, places to go, anything that we can accomplish within the Salt Lake City area. And I think we've put it out there in the Discord before, and it seems like there's going to be at least a decent number of FC Cincinnati fans traveling to this match as well. So Kevin, we up for hosting a pregame too?
Absolutely. We'll get more specific timing details out later, but the plan right now is 2 Row Brewing is where we will be before the match. It should be pretty close to the stadium. Should be pretty easy to get to. Is 21 and up, so just keep that in mind. But otherwise, looks like a great little spot to hang out before the match. Grab a beer. We'll be there. Whoever else is able to attend, come on out, check it out. Should be a good time. And then we'll all head on over to the match from there. I should say we don't have tickets yet, so I can't say we'll all be sitting in like the same area, but I think it'll be fun to hang out with, a couple of the 12 that are maybe living out there or also traveling for this away match. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I believe too, if we haven't already, we'll get in touch with some of the supporters groups and let them know if they don't already have an away bar that they've designated. We'll strongly recommend Two Row Brewing to send people to. So it should be a good time.
We have not given this place any heads up that we're showing up.
No, so don't.
No, that's not our
make sure
style.
not too many people show up.
Well, I don't know. It'll just be what it is.
Yeah.
A challenge with Utah is places operate as a bar or as a restaurant. And so if it operates as a bar, it's 21 and up. But those places seem like better, just more casual, like meetup places, because you get like the open spaces and things. And the other places we've looked at that operate as restaurants are like, well, I don't like if like 10 people show up, like, I don't know, we're all just going to go get separate tables and like
wave at each other.
It didn't seem very, very communal. So this 2 Row, which is just a couple miles from the stadium, it's like a 10 or 15 minute walk to the blue line, I believe.
Yeah,
is what you can take to the stadium there. But, it's also seemed reasonable if folks are driving or taking, some type of Uber or Lyft, or I don't know if they have a Mormon version of that out there. Conestoga wagon.
Yeah. That
Smith
would be
car.
So great to have a covered wagon sort of take you from point to point. It's like a pedal wagon, but no drinking, obviously, but also no pedaling. So,
but all the caffeine free Red Bull you can drink.
All the crumble cookies you can eat.
Oh man, it's gonna be a good time. Yeah, the blue line looks like the one to use. That looks like it gets you pretty close to the stadium, and a handful of stops along the way. Because the stadium's out in Sandy, right? So that'll be fun.
The blue line actually does have like game day operations.
Okay, nice.
Like they do, it's on the website for if folks want to. I'm not a transportation consultant, so people can go to the website themselves.
Yeah, the Sandy Expo stop looks to be about a block and a half away from what used to be Rio Tinto Stadium.
And is now America First Field. So, maybe some of the content we do will be asking people how much they love America First, how much they support at America First.
What does America First mean to them?
Is America First right for Salt Lake? We'll lean into the allegations in this instance.
I really want to ask people at Park City, what's something they know about Cincinnati. I want to know fun facts from the residents of Park City about Cincinnati.
Just asking Real Salt Lake fans, Book of Mormon or an MLS championship? You can only have one.
You can only have one.
So that'll be fun. That'll be good. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being back on the road, boys. How you guys feeling about that?
I'm excited. I miss the away day. I miss being out on the road. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
Be good.
Yeah.
It's also a place, I don't know about you. It's not always the first city I would think of to travel to for a soccer match. And so I'm kind of excited about this one.
Yeah. And I gotta say, just like, I've traveled a little bit. I'm no Grayson here, but I can't think of a time that I've spent any time in the Rocky Mountains. So
there you go.
Not that I'm going to be, mountain climbing or anything, but excited to get out there. So,
Cool.
so yeah. So, the other thing I want to do here in part 2 is answer a couple of Patreon questions. The July questions post is out there on the Patreon. If you are a subscriber at the $2 a month level, which is the only level. I like saying it that way. I guess technically you can join for free. You get nothing, but you can join for free. But if you do give us a couple of bucks a month, you get to ask a question. You also get your name in highlighter pink in the Discord. And we answer your question on the podcast. So we've got 3 questions here. So if you have not asked your July question, please ask them. Let's get them here. Scott Griffith asks, keeping the Lou City conversation going, what is your favorite away USL moment? Oh, this is a nice little moment here. Grayson, do you have a favorite USL away moment?
I don't think I went to any away games in USL.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So
If you had to go to any away, what is the stadium you regret or the team you regret not seeing on the road the most in the USL then?
Riverhounds, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Highmark Stadium looks like a good time.
I do regret not doing that one.
Yeah. They recently hosted the I'm going to mess up the name of it. The USL Amateur Women's League playoff match against the Minnesota Aurora. Chief, is there an away match or moment in USL that you share fondly?
I mean, I was at most of those Lou City games.
Yeah.
I was at Streamergate, for those that remember. Real ones remember Streamergate. There was one where we got the Eberling piss beat out of us, like 5-1 or 6-1. And I was like, we're done here. But like, I was trying to create a moment we could make fun of Lou City fans for. So I took my jersey off and I handed it to whoever I was sitting with. It was probably Schwei or something like that. And I was like, hang on to this for me. And so then I went and I walked around to not the Lou City supporters section, but where like the casual fans were sitting.
Yeah.
And not wearing any FC Cincinnati colors, I tried to get the waves started because I thought it would be like a funny visual of like, look at you people. You don't even care about your team. You're doing the wave. Like, it was not successful. I was profoundly not sober in this moment.
The false flag wave attempt is so funny.
Like I couldn't be visibly a Cincinnati fan. I was just like wearing a white undershirt. I looked like a total hobo. Like it was not great. It was not good.
There is a moment that is so weird if you tell people now, but FC Cincinnati fans brought thousands of fans, at least 1,000, to Lucas Oil Stadium to watch Indy 11 play. And that's insane, just to say that.
We were a very big deal in the USL. Like it was definitely big fish in small pond, but we were a very big fish in that pond.
Yeah. Man, that's hilarious.
We could do an entire episode, honestly, on the history of the Lou City FC Cincinnati rivalry and the stupid shit that happened in that very small amount of time where the two teams were occupying the same space.
Do you remember the Bye Felicia tifo?
Oh, it's so awful. Like
so bad. They had to apologize for it.
Like a reference to a music video no one had seen. It was just like, what are we doing here? But then, I mean, like, we can't talk shit because we tried to do like a streamer things tifo that fucked up. And like it was all tangled and it was being used in promotional materials for the USL and it's all messed up. Just like,
I don't know that I've ever said this out loud. Chief, I was holding the tangled pole.
So it's your fault.
It was my fault.
Yeah, whenever you hold on to a pole, things go terribly wrong around FC Cincinnati.
It was not good.
Great Clip sponsors your marches.
Bad. Oh, so good. All right. Tomas Hernandez asks, being the big Pro Rel truther podcast that y'all are, if you were the Don and could relegate one team in MLS and promote any other US side, who would it be and why? I like this. We get to relegate a team, presumably to USL, but don't feel like you have to limit yourself. and promote a team up in its place. What are we doing here?
I mean, the obvious answer is Columbus.
Just
Yeah,
relegating
Columbus to the Big Ten.
They would be so much happier.
Elevating Ohio State men's soccer.
It's what they really want.
It's
Like,
what
that
somehow
they should've-
saved everything.
It's what they should have had the whole time. We need this, like, a scarlet and gray team in Columbus representing, the people
Yes.
of the state of Ohio, and not just, truck stop magnates.
Yeah, and then like you can have all the dickhead fans say, well, like, why aren't you cheering for Ohio? It's your state team.
That's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I always like that. Damn, that's a good answer. Or even just relegate Columbus Crew and promote Louisville City, so we get the rivalry.
We got our true friends, our true frenemy back. If you're giving an honest answer to this question, it's you're relegating one of the original MLS teams that is underperforming. So the answer would have been Chicago until they got their stadium situation sorted. So they've bought themselves a couple years to try and figure this out. But like, DC United feels like a pick in this spot, or like, I don't know, who else is like grossly underperforming?
See, my answer would be, it's a little funny. I would relegate
Houston,
San Jose Earthquakes. I had to think about what their name was. I'd relegate the Earthquakes and promote Sacramento.
Tried that. I think that if I was going to bring up a team right now, I would want to bring up Tampa or New Mexico would be the two teams I would want to bring up.
New Mexico.
Oh yeah,
for like,
I saw somebody with the Meow Wolf
ooh,
kit on, I think yesterday.
Nice.
One of the best soccer kits that any North American team has produced. Just awesome.
You could piss a lot of people off with this one. You relegate whoever you have to, but you promote Detroit.
Sorry, guys. Rules are rules.
Yeah, we
Done.
Relegate DC United and we promote Detroit. That's a great move for everybody.
No, Columbus for Detroit would be great because you're pissing on like this self-proclaimed story of save the crew to bring up a team that doesn't want to be in MLS, a fan base that doesn't want to be in MLS.
The people desperate to be in MLS and the people desperate to not be in MLS. That's
there's some symmetry there that I enjoy.
Man, good. Okay, that's a fun question because this is a not fun question from Bailey R. And I just want to say, Bailey, how could you? How dare you ask this in July? This is a November question. Who on the team isn't here next year? Oh, I hate this.
Corey Baird.
Corey Baird is not here next year. I would agree with that.
Steven Jimenez. Is he here now? Steven, blink twice if you're okay.
He warmed up by himself for a brief moment in this match, and I thought, no. Are they bringing him on?
Is the problem that we don't like that because we don't score enough goals, Jimenez can never come on, and that like his plight is that we're a team destined to win every game 1-0, and Pat's like, if we ever get up 3-0, you're going in.
Yes, because that's the only time he has ever come in the past.
He's the human victory cigar, and we're just never in a smoking position.
Correct.
Tough.
Alec Can surely isn't here next year, right?
There would be insane.
What if he's here as like a assistant goalkeeping coach or something?
Right.
Or an academy goalkeeping coach.
So who else is contract expires at the end of this year per transfer market? I don't have options in front of me. Miles Robinson is a really interesting one. He probably comes back, right?
He's coming back. The staff loves him.
Well, they have to sign him to a new. I mean, we'll find out. Like, I bet they announce a new deal for Miles in August.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Teenage contract runs out at the end of this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone.
Yeah.
Sergio Santos would be another one where I don't know that he's going to be gone, but like he's only coming back if he comes back on a smaller number. The word on the street is the only reason he's back this year is because he hit some sort of a performance incentive in his contract that triggered his option year. But I think he's out of options next year. He would not surprise me to be gone. The other player who would not surprise me to be gone is DeAndre Yedlin, because I'm pretty confident that if they hadn't gotten the deal done to send Chidozie and Ian Murphy to Colorado, I think Yedlin was going to get left unprotected in the expansion draft.
Yeah, so here's of players whose contract expires in 2025. Here's who I think will not be on the roster next year.
Okay.
Corey Baird, Teenage Hadebe, Yuya Kubo, Sergio Santos, DeAndre Yedlin, Alec Can.
Let me ask
a
you
lot
about
of people leaving.
Lucas Angle.
Right. That's
he's on loan.
Right. That's the question. I think it's a lean.
I'd say you bring.
So you say all those people you listed are gone next year?
Yes.
Okay.
That tracks. That means re-signing Miazga and Miles Robinson and Evan.
They have an option on Powell. I would kind of be surprised if they didn't pick it up, because I'm sure it's not expensive.
Yeah. He's good cheap depth.
So yeah.
They
also have to sign Matt, technically.
Yeah. Anunga is an interesting one too.
They've got an option on Anunga, and if the option is
I think on Anunga,
if the option is supplemental, I don't know.
I don't think it is. I think the option brings him up to a senior roster spot. I think
I'll ask him to sign another supplemental deal.
That's the problem with Anunga is that if this goes well, he's going to get a lot of minutes. And if the team is good, there's no way he's coming back on a supplemental roster spot with the amount of minutes he gets.
But also, like, good. Like, I don't know. We need that. Bring that back. So I've got no issue, especially if a bunch of these, larger salaries end up leaving. Yeah, he's not going to break the bank. He's worth.
I mean, they're going to have, like, it's an off-season topic, but they're going to have to do some business. They're going to have to do something with a lot of this, because as best I can tell, I mean, who would we be selling to get some of the GAM that you need in order to make the roster work? Barreal,
baby.
Barreal. Yeah.
Or Luca. Yeah. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to think about this right now.
I don't love it.
Bailey, shame on you for asking this question.
Thank you for the $2, though.
Yes. So that does it for the Patreon question. Should we wrap this up in part 3, talk a little bit about Hell is Real as we enter Hell is Real week?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Hell is Real and then get out of here.
Let's do it. All right, we are back, and so it begins. Hell is Real week. I am excited that we finally get, it feels like it's been forever, a full week of preparation leading up to Hell is Real, and that game is on a Saturday. I don't know when the last time we had that series of events. They like to put Hell is Real on Sunday because it was usually flexed to the cable partners, which I guess don't exist or not really exist anymore. And there is no awkward Wednesday midweek game for this one. Columbus is not in the Open Cup, correct? That would be the only other thing.
Yeah, no, they were in the CONCACAF.
That's right. That's right.
They won by virtue of something. They entered in.
They won Leagues Cup last year.
So they came in later into the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Yeah.
And then bounced.
But they also finished
quickly.
high enough to qualify based on that too.
Okay. So at time of recording, they have not played their match against Seattle. FC Cincinnati fans, you are a Seattle Sounder fan tonight for sure. Regardless of it being Columbus, just anytime a West Coast or West Conference team plays an Eastern Conference team, you're rooting for the Western Conference team, unless it might have something to do with the supporter shield standing. But in general, we want less points in the East. But Chief, it's been a while. Should we call for a I got to choose my words carefully here. An online crusade against Columbus from the online fans. I feel like we haven't had a good Twitter beef in a while.
No, they have to provoke us at this point. I don't want to. I don't want to go looking for. I don't want to go cruising for a fight because at this point, still, it is still an asymmetrical rivalry. There is still so much more for them to talk about to us on field than we can say to them at this point. So picking the fight seems like a poor move when they can just like post star emojis. I don't need that. What I do like is I do like hearing from friend of the postcast and recurring guest Cameron Nia, who had this from Pavel Buka postgame, this quote. Just right now in the locker room when we were together in the cold tub, we just started talking about next week, already looking forward to Hell is Real while in the stadium recovering from a physically taxing, hot and humid night. They were already on and thinking about the rivalry. They were already on and thinking about the next game. And you love to see it.
I do love to see that.
I do love to see it.
Since that horrific playoff disaster in early December 2023, the Crew have not beat us in 3 attempts. So
knock on wood.
You like that? You like
that.
You like to see that.
And you know what else we didn't bring it up yet? The secret weapon, the secret sauce, FC Cincinnati, undefeated since this has occurred, since we inexplicably added what's his face, Dem.
Yes.
Onto the senior roster. FC Cincinnati has not lost a match since this transaction occurred. So many people are asking if Dem is the secret weapon for the remainder of the year.
I don't see why not. Yeah, Grayson, what do we make of that move? Because he played briefly with the team.
So he's not on the senior roster. First,
he's on
the supplemental roster.
Yeah.
Homegrown on the supplemental roster, right?
He's a draft pick, not a homegrown.
Okay.
Which is great, which means he is $0 for anybody keeping tabs on the salary tracker. But I believe he does take up an international spot. He's a French international.
Which leaves us, by the way, with none currently.
Yeah.
Because Echenique is taking up the other one that was available.
Correct.
Or will be taking up the other one that was available when the window opens.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And so he's a center forward, but has been deployed as a left back multiple times. How much should we read into his signing for what may or may not be happening this window?
It's tough to say, because the one thing about it is, I think we've all heard really good things about him. I'm not a 2-team knower, to be honest, so I haven't watched a lot of him, but he is a player who's trained, multiple times with the first team. He comes to preseason with the first team. I think with the first team, he's typically been used in like preseason matches as a wingback.
Yeah.
I don't see like necessarily room for him at center forward currently.
Yeah.
And then given that we had heard rumblings that they were interested in bringing in a U22 center forward in the summer, that would if that was still the case, that would put him further down the depth chart. Maybe this means that they're not doing that anymore, and if they bring another player in, it's going to be elsewhere. I would hesitate to read too much into it.
Mm-hmm.
The only piece of it that I find really intriguing is the use of the international spot on a supplemental guy. That tells me that either they don't plan to bring another international in, or they think he's good enough that they're willing to bring him on and then find another international spot through like a GAM trade or something.
Yeah, it's certainly an endorsement of his skill to use
I think so.
a valuable roster mechanism like that on him.
I don't know. I would love to talk to an immigration person right now just to, wish them well in life at this point in American history. Does him being on the main roster, I won't say senior roster, but being signed to an FC Cincinnati MLS contract, does that improve his ability or change his ability to get a green card? Because it would make sense if they see him as a guy for next year, that you get him up right now so that he can begin the green card process to have that ready to go for next season. Otherwise, you're in the same position. If you want to add him to the roster next year and you think this is a piece of our future going forward, he's still using he's still using an international spot for a full year next year, where you can get the process started earlier this year. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, being an FCC2 player versus an FC Cincinnati 1 player.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
But either way, it's like, I don't know. I'm like Grayson. I don't follow FCC2 enough. I have a really, really hard time believing that anyone in MLS Next Pro is worth international spot. That like there is any player who is more valuable than the 100,000 in GAM plus a American USL level striker that you could get on the supplemental roster spot.
Right. Like what you would spend to get another U22 spot is the equivalent of like the budget charge, or another international spot is the equivalent of the budget charge for like a U22 player
that will have infinitely higher upside than Dem.
I'm not I've heard really good things about Dem, and I look forward to hopefully seeing him get some run in some games, maybe in Leagues Cup. You know, he gets some extended time, but he's like basically a year younger than Denkey.
Yeah. He's old. Like he's 23 years old. And it's weird being a bunch of like guys that are way older than that calling somebody washed.
I'm not saying he's washed, but like you think about him as a young player, he's like really not.
He's not.
This is when like he should be getting into, you know, his prime years.
Yeah.
Yeah. He should have already.
Maybe he is.
I mean, yeah, but like it's hard to think of a 23-year-old, and it's weird to think this way, but it's true, is that at 23, if he was going to be somebody, he should be a lot further along than his highest level being playing in the Atlantic 10.
Yeah. And here's another just like thought experiment. Let's take a player like Cal Jennings. He's currently second in the USL Golden Boot race. He has 12 goals for Charleston Battery in 19 games. He scored 38 goals in 71 matches for Tampa Bay. Before that, actually played for LAFC briefly. Before that, 28 years old, would probably cost you $100,000 to $200,000 to bring him in. He's an American. I don't know. Like, you can compare this move to other comparable moves that wouldn't also take the spot. Now, again, Dem has quite the lineage, I should say, or you know, the family history. He is considered extremely talented. But the other piece of this I'm interested in is he has had, I believe, just 2 short-term loan ups to the first team. I don't know. Grayson was. I have him
at 3.
Okay.
Laurel reported that he had used all 4.
Okay.
I don't see that.
I was just going based off of he appeared against Motagua and Philly Union.
Yeah, but so he was up for like 8 days.
So
you would need to have used 2 at that point in time. And then he did have a 3rd confirmed
in March 22nd.
Later in March.
Atlanta.
And then I don't know when that 4th loan up would have happened, but
I do
assume that Laurel had like sourced that to somebody. So I would trust her information.
Okay. So if he was out of,
it feels a little weird.
Yeah.
That he would have had a 4th loan, but not appeared in a roster.
Yeah. Right. And I don't know, maybe somebody came back healthy, you know, the day of the game and they had to get the paperwork in before that or something. But Yeah, it did feel a little weird to sign him before he used up all of his loan options. So, but yeah, that was one to keep an eye on. We know Pat Noonan isn't super keen on using young players, but maybe a 23-year-old is not young and maybe gets a couple of appearances here. So, so looking ahead to Hell is Real, I don't know, just vibes going into the week quickly here, then we'll get people out of here. Chief, how do we feel going into the week?
I feel like it's a must-win game. This is a game, they drew Columbus in Columbus, and they look kind of bad doing it. Like it was a hold on for dear life situation in the second half of that game. I need to see this team beat Columbus here. They're the Supporter Shield leaders now past the halfway point in the season. You got to start acting like it, and acting like it means going and taking care of business against a good team in your building. And they're going to have a couple opportunities to do that over the next couple games. Like they're going to have Columbus and Miami back to back.
Yeah.
Out of these games, I need to see 4 points. I need to see him beat Columbus. If you beat Columbus, a draw with Miami isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not going to end everything, but I need to see him go, and I need to see Evander and Denkey put their mark on this rivalry. Like great players and players that you remember long after they've played, or players that do something special in the biggest moments. And so, yeah, I want to see this team win. Obviously want to see this team win every week, but in this week specifically, I need to see him do something against the local bully. Yeah.
Grayson, vibes going into this week?
I think the vibes are good. Obviously, you're coming off of four wins in a row. It doesn't feel like a particularly angst-ridden Hell is Real week.
Yeah.
It's probably helpful that we don't have like a midweek game leading up to it, or that this game is not in a midweek. So it's pretty far away, and they'll have a full week of training heading up to it.
Yeah. I like that the players are already talking about it, right?
Yep.
Like that is a really, really, really good sign. And yeah, I feel good about this. I think the team is on the upswing. I would love to see Columbus coming off of a loss against Seattle later tonight. I think that would be great. And yeah, this is like this stretch of the calendar, this stretch of the schedule is going to make or break this season. The match against Miami. It's going
to make or break Supporter Shield.
That's true. That's true.
They're going to make or break Supporter Shield. Like you'll have a good pick. You'll have a good idea after like the next 3 or 4 games where this team sits and what its ability to win Supporter Shield looks like. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. Like this team's going to make the playoffs. I'm not worried about that. But like, yeah, this is going to make or break what the Supporter Shield run, or if there is a Supporter Shield run in this team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate the correction. Yeah. There's certainly some weirdness can happen. And yeah, I am looking for 3 points out of these 2 games is where my expectations are. Ideally 6, obviously, but I need at least 3 points out of the next 2 matches. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah. And remember, this week, more than ever, say it proud. Fuck Columbus.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They're a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. I think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.